Hi, I'm Bruce. If you didn't already know that, you're probably better to spend your time elsewhere, because this channel's really only aimed at keeping friends and family apprised of what I'm up to here in my retirement in Indonesia. Since the Genset was a bit hot after its run earlier, they were looking for extra work. They thought we'd work on the compact track loader. So it's better than it was in that we now have electrical. Apparently the battery isolator switch had issues. Of course now the battery's a bit flat, so we've got to jump into the other flat battery. So the other flat battery added in parallel wasn't enough to get it started. So now we've got the battery charger on the primary battery and it's reading at 88% charge, so it's going to take a while. So the guys are on a wait break for this now. While I was at the doctor's rating rooms, Azra sent me some video of the compact track loader working.
Good. Mantap, Dede. Hah? Macet deh. Macet.
Sent me a video of this. They got it running, but they're continuing to work on the instrument panel inside because there's corrosion in the switch, we think. The guys are back for day 2. Needs an oil change, which means ideally we would have access to the pit underneath. So I'm just about to go back to the house and get a connector to put on a submersible pump, because that little diaphragm pump just doesn't pump at a decent rate. They can make it run, but there's still relays and things that rewiring to be done. So they're working on that. Also needs an oil change, so we're trying to pump out the service pit at the moment. It may be overcast, but the feels like is getting unpleasant at 40.3. It's only 30.7, but I'm going to go back to the house to my nice, cool lounge room. Well, they got it going again. Did a lot of electrical work. Gave it an oil change. I don't know whether they got a new filter for it or not. Replaced several relays and fuses, and then drove it out here to give it a good wash. I was concerned that it was going to be more salty water, but Kubota tells me that the water at Bendy's house is fresh water. So hopefully, glad to see they closed the side windows before they started washing it. But oh well, it's had a bath and a scrub up. Just needs a new windscreen wiper now. It's already Thursday morning. I've been meaning to come over and do some cleaning because there's stuff that I've left out on the floor, cigarette butts, despite no smoking signs that I have up around here, but they don't read. Yeah, so I was going to have to bend over and pick up bits of wire, because there's lots of loft cuts, more cigarette butts, lots of wires, various rubbish. But I tweaked my back earlier this week doing something or other, and consequently I don't feel like bending over, so I'm putting that off. Something that I could do if I sat down was work on this new shovel handle I bought, installing it in the shovel. Those of you who go back far enough with this channel may remember that my good quality long handled Stanley shovel, I discovered one day had the handle cut down and a piece put across the top as a T to make it into a spade. Now, it's been my policy for the last 4 decades or more to not get angry, just get frustrated or disappointed. But that day I came very close to violating that rule or policy. I didn't inquire as to who had done it, otherwise I might have found myself banning them from the worksite forever, because I've got a real thing about tool abuse, and somebody cutting my good shovel without asking my permission or gaining my permission was an absolute no-no. But I thought, no, I better not make an enemy for life. I'd better just shut up, go away and simmer. So several years later, I've recovered now, and I can get on with fixing up this shovel. Well, I'm getting a start on it. I've drilled out this end of the pin that was riveted, or pinned over at that end, and started driving it out with a pin punch. But my pin punch is tapered, so I can't push it all the way through because it gets jammed in the hole. And apart from tool abuse, the other problem I have is tools that get borrowed and not returned. So I'm currently lacking my claw hammer, which might have been an option, and my racking bar, which would have been an option. So I really wish tools would come back when they get borrowed. Well, I got the last of the original handle out of that, which of course was not easy, and measurements of that show that I need to slim this part down by about 3 millimeters. So I've got to look at how I can do that. Ideally I'd have a wood lathe that I could put it on, but no. So I've got to figure out some way of rotating that and reducing it symmetrically. to the appropriate length. I'll think further on that, but in the meantime I'm getting hot, so I'm going to go back to the lounge room and cool down. Well, it's Friday morning, so it's time to wrap up this week's video. We've got the celebratory bunting up for Indonesian Independence Day, which is the 17th of the month. So they put them up at the start of the month, and they stay up until near the end of the month. So this is what you see in the approach to our house. Yeah, so the courtyard's all fully decorated and beyond. There's minimal decoration at Bendy's house and the rice factory. It's a bit quiet down here. It's just the cat decided to move in his front patio. It kind of looks like they've been digging at this side of the mountain of rice husks, but they've got a long way to go. That'll be all over the back fence and possibly the side fence. I'll go around and have a look around the other side. Oh yeah, that's way over the north side. So, yeah. I'm not sure if we own that bit of land or whether we're spilling onto somebody else's. But yeah, that's a pile that needs dealing with. I'm sure at one point I gave Azra a day-night sensor he could have used for switching those lights. Don't really need to have a 300 watt LED running during daytime. Earlier in the week, I think it might have been Tuesday, I saw Azra go and climb into the compact track loader on the camera there, and there's no sound on that camera, so I didn't know whether he'd started or not until I saw him exercise the hydraulics, lifting the boom and tilting and so forth, and put it back down again. So just confirming, I guess the battery is still good. So yep, we know that works. I went and had a look yesterday, and I think it's got 168 hours on the engine clock, so it's not much. But we'll see now whether we can find a buyer. The camera on the lower right side, the one from the east end of the shed, it looks like it's a bit foggy. I don't know whether that's lizard footprints on the lens or whether it's sun affected, because it wouldn't be the only one to be sun affected. Hang on, if I just go and find the not so big, I guess if I go and look at this, you can see the lower right one there, that's the one on the tank stand. I think that one is sun affected, because that's definitely hazy looking. So, and you can see our wonderful roof there, which was painted earlier this year, and the rust has already come through. So next time that's going to get a plastic roof or cement sheet. I think probably plastic, vinyl, PVC, because I'm sick of stuff around here rusting. And, yeah, so I've got my 12 cameras there, which I'll just get back to the normal corner. Oops, no, that was wrong. I didn't want it minimised, I wanted windowed. That one. And then I can drag my PTZ cameras across, jam them up in that corner there, and then I can still watch YouTube over here on the left while having all the cameras up. So there's 16 cameras in operation, and there's one on the west end of the shed that it's decided it doesn't want to work anymore. That'd be the 5th one in the top section, which I would be able to get up on that display where I can have, what's that, 4, I can have 8 on like that and change which one's the primary one somehow or other. There we go. So you can drag them around to drag the one you want to see in the big window from the smaller window, or I can go back to my 4, and now they're out of kilter, so that one belongs up there. Didn't like that, I know. Well, I'll fix that up later. But anyway, the other thing that's on the go here is it is very, very dry, to the extent where wells are drying up, and there's, with the El Nino, this dry phase is forecast to potentially last as long as November. So yeah, could get interesting around here. I think there's still lots of water over in the shed tanks for drinking. We'll never have a problem there, I think. But yeah, I've got to change out the depth indicator tube on that sometime or other, so I can actually see. The tube nowadays is sort of, yeah, well, it's, you've seen it on previous videos, it's, you can no longer see the water through it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and do an upload. I mentioned that it was a bit dry lately. Here's our well. So that's about 8.5 metres deep. And you can see the little pipe down the bottom there, which is the inflow from the bore that was put down next to it. So that's salty water coming in, but it's not hugely fast. So we have to wait for that to fill it up to a certain extent before we can turn the pump back on and start pumping it back up to the tanks on the stand.